You're listening to the only multimedia FM station in Houston, Texas. Your Fusion Radio. Top 40s, dance, Latin, country, pop, rock and roll. All in one station. Mixing genres and generations. You're listening to KNLY New Waverly, Texas. 91.1 FM, The Boss.
The program presented or submitted by members of our community and are a proud sponsor of KNLY 91.1 FM. The views expressed do not necessarily reflect those of KNLY 91.1 FM and its affiliates.
Good afternoon, and God bless you. We're having a great day here at KNLY 91.1 The Boss, and of course, I'm your host, Orlando Daniels of Today's Entrepreneur, and I have a great guest that I genuinely feel that he's passionate about what he's called to do, Mr. Chris Bryson, and he's going to be able to share with you a little bit more all that he does, but I want to know, how did you come up with BIC? So go ahead and introduce yourself. We're going to talk about it.
Well, thanks everybody for tuning in, listening to me today. Thank you, Orlando, for having us on the show. Really appreciate it. BIC is an acronym. Basically, it stands for Bryson Indoor Comfort Consultants. And the BIC approved, everybody, you know, so the motto's give your home the BIC stamp of approval, okay? And so, you know, have your home BIC approved. And it got to the point to where everybody was asking me basically, hey man, is this BIC approved, or has this been BIC approved? And so it just kind of caught on and took fire. So we shortened the name to the acronym full time, you know, instead of Bryson Indoor Comfort Consultants, we just shortened it up with what everybody's been, you know, asking about. So
it's definitely catchy. Here's my thing. What makes something BIC approved? Yeah. What makes something BIC approved?
Well, so to be BIC approved, so basically I hold myself to a very high standard. You know, the quality of work, craftsmanship, you know, I consider myself a craftsman. If I'm going to do something, I want it to be right. I want it to look right. I want it to appear good. I want to do it right the first time. I don't want to call back. I mean, no one's perfect. We get callbacks, but not near as many as some others, you know, and that's because we try to get it right the first time every time, you know, with that craftsmanship behind it.
Now, you're not just dealing with, you know, air conditioning, because when we consider Houston, it's just hot. You're a good example, because we were in the green room waiting for you to come on, and you said, Orlando, it's like a sauna in here. I said, that's just because you came from outside.
Yeah, all you got to do is walk to the car, and you're waiting on that air conditioner.
Yeah, the temperature just changed with you drastically for like in like 3 minutes you were outside and back in.
That's it.
How did you get over into heating and air?
Okay, that's a good question. It's a deep one, actually, but basically in 2009 was probably the worst year of my life that I can remember. We lost everything that year. We lost jobs, we lost life, we lost homes, we lost cars. It was a really bad year for us. And I had to go back to the drawing board. I had to decide, you know, we were in a recession, and I had to decide, well, what am I going to do? Because I only really had one skill at the time. Other than sales, I guess I had sold cars and stuff before, but nothing consistent in sales. So I was pretty much a structural designer at that time. But when they went in a recession, they quit building stuff, and I lost my job, and it was a really bad year. So I had to go back to the drawing board, and I was really thinking hard, because I had a family at that time. I had 2 kids already, and I was trying to figure out, you know, what can I do that basically the economy can't take away from me.
Wow. And
so I thought long and hard about it, and I'm flipping through the book at the college, you know, trying to figure out, I got to retrain myself at this point. So I landed on HVAC, and I said, you know what, this is Houston. And I found out that Houston's actually the HVAC capital of the world. So it's #1 in heating and air conditioning across the map, across the globe. So I said, you know what, no matter what happens with the economy, I'll always have a job. Now, at that point, I had no clue I'd end up as an entrepreneur in the business. But in a short period of time, I had excelled and grown so rapidly, and everybody around me was pushing, you know, hey man, you need you need to do this for yourself. You know, you're crazy, and you know. So I said, okay. You know, I had to get some things lined out and make sure that, you know, everything was in play, and no time was the right time, and finally I just jumped, you know.
You know, God knows how to push us,
Yeah.
and not just push us, but place us or position us that we may position other. For you know, your main motivation was what you had lost, not knowing that God was using what you lost to help you discover what you were actually called to do. And you just imagine the number of people, lives that you're changing. And I would say just from the air conditioner part, because I don't see much heat needed here in Houston. You just let open the window and get that. But I mean, just knowing that this is what has motivated you outside of your family, you know, just recovering your children. What's next for Bick?
Oh man, Bick is in a huge growth mode right now. We're definitely in a huge growth period. A lot of people are starting to, it's really gaining some steam. We're making some waves out in Katy, Texas for sure. And what's next is, I mean, we're just going to continue to grow the business. I do believe that we're gonna be opening a child care facility next year.
Wow.
My wife will run that part of it, and it won't be BIC approved, but it'll be under the business. You know?
Remember, it has to be BIC approved in order to be validated.
Yeah, I keep trying to tell her, but she's already got a name picked out, so it is what it is. But so we got that coming up, and we're actually going to be getting into investments in the near future as well. So
Wow.
a lot of stuff coming up. Air conditioning business is just I don't want to say stepping stone, but it's the beginning of a lot. I get a huge gratification from what I do, so I don't necessarily see me close the doors. I mean, my kids want to work for me. You know, not me saying you're going to work for me, but they legitimately are like, can I run a service call with you? You know, so they see me growing, you know, and they want to be part, you know.
You're leaving a legacy, and after you're gone, you have, you know, your kids that's already interested. Because, you know, when we think about our kids have their own dreams, goals, and things of that nature, and you have the tendency, or I've seen where parents have had the tendency to try to influence their decisions.
Right.
And so it's good that your kids are actually coming to you from you know, hey, Dad, I want to do this. Here's something that I want to mention that we did not get a chance to touch, because you mentioned Katy. They did an actual write-up on you and your business.
Yeah, we actually won the Katy Times Best of Katy Heating and Air Conditioning 2019. We took first place in that. That was a huge thing for us. I mean, couldn't be more excited about that. And they actually did an interview segment. I got the centerfold of that, and I got to tell my story a little bit. They asked me some questions, and it was like an interview, like an impromptu interview to go in the magazine that was inserted into the newspaper and went out to the community. So yeah, that was huge.
So you're just getting double back for your troubles. All the things that you went through that you did not see. You didn't see all of this when going through what you were going through. So I just really want to, you know, just bless God for you and your ability to embrace and hold on through that, because we know most people, when they go through certain seasons of life, is like, I want to tap out. I want to quit. And you found
Can't quit.
What has made you successful, or created an avenue not just for your success but your overall family. Here's something that I thought about when you were talking about it. I started going through the paper. You remember the commercial that used to come on? The guy used to talk about, what you doing? Get off the couch. So I just pictured you having that motivation and choosing to jump. What would you tell someone that has gone through or going through? It seems like the economy is changing, or, you know, it's time to change vocations or careers. What would you say to someone that is listening and following that would motivate them to jump?
Okay, to jump. So what I would say is, if you can see it, smell it, taste it, be in it, even though it doesn't currently exist, you should absolutely jump. Because before I jumped, I knew exactly where I was going to be today. I know exactly where I'm going to be 10 years from now. And when I say I've tied it with an emotion, love. It's the strongest emotion you can have. So I've tied it with love. I love what I do genuinely. And, you know, if you can see that and know that future is there, hey man, go for it. There's only one way to do it. You have to put it into action. Plan is great. You got to have a plan, but until you start putting it into action, it doesn't exist.
You know, when I think about the people that come here and they're able to be on this platform, you know, we get to experience the life that comes with them. We see their passion. We see what fuels them. And one of my things that I often say is that your peace is tied to that. And so it's good that you're able to take what you've experienced and make a deposit, because that's the thing, is making a deposit and having that influence by which you're able to encourage others to pursue. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to share some information, Facebook, Instagram, any phone number. How can they get in contact with you?
Well, phone number is 713-732-7007. You can go to the website, www.bicapprove.com, and that's with 2 C's, so it's Bic like the shaver, but with 2 C's. And you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're on all that. We got, so, you know, just look up Bic Approved.
Okay, here's something, and I had the opportunity. I have a great relationship with, and I don't know if you know Jehu and JoJo. They own Affordable Air Repair.
That segment.
And they, you know, they're my dynamic duo, you know, to see how they work together. But here's something that I asked Jehu, and I want to ask you, because you deal with both aspects. You deal with the air conditioning side as well as heat. We're in Houston, and what is the actual temperature someone should actually place the thermostat on to have some kind of comfort and cool?
Okay, that's a good question. So everybody's going to give you a different answer, but here's what I'll tell you. Is that an air conditioning is only designed to work at 20 degrees below ambient. So if it's 95 and you're getting 75, technically it's cooling. Now, some houses can overachieve that. It just depends on how the house was built. You know, is it a foam house? Is it a super old house? Is it, you know, so every house is unique in its own way and presents its own issues, and we just have to evaluate the overall function of the home to make sure that we're putting the best system in there for you and make sure that it's getting the most they can. That's why we're considered indoor comfort consultants, is because we're not just going in there to sell you a box, you know, and move on. We're trying to look at the whole things. What actually, we don't want to put something back with the same problems.
Okay. Here's something, because you mentioned Katie and they did the write-up. How far of a call, you know, in relations to mileage or distance will Bic approve? Will Bic approve?
So actually, currently, my current service area is Katie's the heart of it. Most of my work is in Katie, and that's just because that's my territory where I'm at. I'm very active in the community there, so I'm very well known there. But we do go out to Cypress, Richmond, Fulshire, Brookshire, Sealy, and then back up to about West Houston. That's our typical stomping ground.
Okay.
But we don't really tell people no. There might be a little extra service fee if it's outside of that area, but I mean, I find myself in League City and Dickinson, Texas a lot. I do work out in Austin. I'm not going out to Austin for a service call, only like a replacement situation or something like that where it's worth my trip. But so I don't really turn down work.
Wow, that says a lot, because you know we know that demographically that we have the tendency to base our overall service and what we do.
Right.
But you're willing to go the extra mile,
Yeah.
though it may cost a little bit on that extra mile.
Yeah, right.
But they can't get that Bic approved service.
Exactly. And
That says a lot, because a lot of business owners, you know, we put the limits on ourselves and on our business. You know, when I think about, you know, KNLY, our station, I always say it, nobody can do it, nobody does it bigger or better than the boss.
Right.
And the reason I can say that is based on what we provide, period. No other radio station in Houston, no other radio station in the country, other than 2 other places, New York and California, has the ability to provide what we provide. And that's what most business owners have to consider in doing business, is providing a service that not just allows you to compete, but separates you and allows you to stand out.
Yeah, so the way I look at it is that we're trying to actually bring customer service and convenience back to air conditioning.
I like that.
We hear too many horror stories about such and such was just here and it's still broke and now I can't get a hold of them, and we plan to never be that guy. So if we, again, like I said, no one's perfect. If we make a mistake, we'll be there when you call us, and we'll be there until we see the job all the way to the end. But that's all we can do, right? Is our best foot forward.
I think you're on to what sets you apart. You've already stated it. The customer service is, it's a lost art in business altogether. We've moved over into what society dictates when we talk about technology and things of that nature. But you being hands-on and you willing to go the distance and then provide that comfort. And I love that you're playing on that comfort, because we know what it's like to be some. Trust me, I don't do heat in Houston. I just don't care for
Who
it.
does?
I just don't care for it. But I want to applaud you for recognizing what needed to be done and choosing to do it, because there are times that we have the thought or the idea, but we don't have the follow through. Right. So, I truly applaud you. And then I also thank you for being a part of today's show on Today's Entrepreneur, and most importantly, much success with your wife. And you and your wife in regards to the new ventures that you have in place. And then, since you mentioned you already know what you're going to be doing in 10 years from now, Lord's willing, I'll still be around.
Absolutely.
KNLY 91.1, the boss will still be around, and we want to be a part of the whole journey. So thank you again for being my guest here on Today's Entrepreneur. Once again, I am your host, Orlando Daniels, and of course, this is KNLY 91.1, the boss. Nobody does it bigger or better. You enjoy your day. Be blessed.